I grew up dirt poor. I barely had any clothes. I usually had to wear the same clothes for years, and they usually had holes in them, holes in my socks, holes in my underwear, my shirts. Sometimes I would go days without eating, depending on if my mom or dad had enough money to supply us food. Only time I really had it good is when I went to my grandmother or my aunt who partially raised me. I went through a lot of abuse, a lot of physical abuse, a lot of mental and verbal abuse. It didn't so much come from my mom. It came so much from my stepfather and the rest of my family. I remember days I didn't go to school because I was so bruised up, and they didn't want the teachers to find out. There were days where if I did go to school, they had me to cover the bruises up, put on a long sleeve shirt. This is in Florida. It's like 90 degrees outside. I put on a long sleeve shirt to hide the bruises, and they also make fun of me because I have a birthmark on my nose. So they always make me feel insecure. I'm dark skinned. That was the main thing. I have a big nose and I'm dark skinned. Those two main factors. Kids used to always consistently make fun of me about. And I remember I would consistently tell my grandmother when I got older I wanted to have surgery to have my nose downsized and to have my birthmark removed. Around middle school, I started cutting myself. I still have cuts on my arms and my leg. You know, I tried committing suicide, I tried taking pills, I tried suffocating myself, anything to make the pain stop. And I used to always get called ugly, you this and you that. And for the majority of my life, I never felt handsome. People used to tell me, but I never agreed. I never felt it. Because it's one thing for somebody to tell you, and it's different for you to feel it for yourself. And I never felt it for myself. Because I'm like, if I'm all what you say I am, then why do I get treated otherwise? But behind closed doors, what they didn't know was my aunt was trying to sleep with me. Next to that, she consistently emasculated me, tore me down, talked down to me, and then made me feel less than a man. That made me feel like garbage. So I always felt empty. I always felt like I had no purpose. And out of that came addictions to pornography, loneliness, suicidal tendencies. I was always staying to myself. I used to come home from school, close the door, and stay in my room all day. I dealt with not having friends for so long that I took to animals. I had like 30 plus hamsters. Not at one time. I had 30 plus hamsters. I owned snakes. I owned lizards. I owned a variety of turtles, including a snapping turtle, dogs. Yeah, because that's my way of coping with loneliness, depression, suicidal tendencies, and being rejected. Is I took to animals, and I took to getting used to my own company. I used to tell my grandmother, God rest her soul. Her name is Jean. I said, Nana, Grandma Jean. I said, what am I doing so wrong? Why does it seem like no matter how many people I try to make friends with, I get done wrong? My grandmother used to try to encourage me because she would see me crying. And she like, she's an old southern woman. She's like, baby, why you crying? I'm like, I'm hurt. I get bullied. I have no friends. I feel alone. And when I do have friends, they do me nasty. And she was my rock, my grandmother. Because she was always be there for me. There are times where like she would come just hug me and put her head on my head, or even as a teenager, I would go hug my grandmother and put my head on her lap, and she would like she's from Alabama. She's a country girl, so I put my head on her lap. She'd start humming some song, I don't know. She'll start humming, pet my head, and say it's gonna be all right, And even though as a 27-year-old man, I miss that. I miss that comfort. I miss my grandma tell me it's gonna be all right. I tried to cry nothing about my grandma, but she's the only person that used to encourage me. When I felt suicidal, I always go to her. I always went to her. When I felt lonely, I always went to her. When I felt alone, I always went to her. Because grandma know what to say. Grandma know what to say to bring me around. When I was in high school, I started bleaching my skin. I was darker than what I am now, like about a shade or two. But I used skin bleach. I used to do it every day, bleach my skin, because I want to be lighter. It's no lie. When I was in high school, I used to rarely look in the mirror. I used to, when I take a bath, go to the sink, brush your teeth, I didn't look in the mirror. Sometimes for weeks on end, I didn't look in the mirror because I didn't like what I seen. And you know, the Bible says you reap what you sow. So I said, even though I've been done wrong, I don't want to radiate that. I want to be how God was. I want to be like Jesus. That even though I get done wrong, I still do right. It gets hard. But at the end of the day, I feel like that reward is sweet because I know I done right. That's the main thing I want to say. Be encouraged and don't give up and don't let one moment control your entire life. Because your life is bigger than one moment. And pray if it be the Lord's will, somebody watch this video, that they'll be encouraged and see that they're not the only ones who went through things, and have hope they can come out on top and not be bogged down by their past. Because it's hard to let the past go. But that reward is sweet. It's sweet when you let that past go, when you let the abuse and all that go. You can breathe. You can think. That's why now, in spite of what happened in my life, I can hug my mom. I can hug my stepdad and no animosity because I let it go. It's a beautiful thing to forgive and not be bitter and angry. I am Lawrence, and I am unbeautiful.